What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and Home League ADP is useless. The ADP compiled on these sites is from their mock draft lobbies with auto drafters and bots, and it's just not a good representation of how your home league is going to go. What's going to happen is you're all going to load into the draft room, and your buddies aren't going to sort by the ADP. They're going to draft off of the default rankings already provided to them. On Yahoo, that is the expert rank. On Sleeper, CBS, and ESPN, they all have a very similar variation of this, of preloaded rankings for whoever is drafting. The good part is that these rankings are still soft and easy to exploit, so today we're going to leverage them against high-stakes ADP with real money on the line, with sharp drafters to find the best value in every round of your draft for 2025. This is the most requested video of the summer by far. As always, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into the data here. How we're going to set this up is by using high-stakes ADP from the RotoWire Online Championship on the NFC. This is a $350 buy-in league, $250,000 to first place. It is one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, a flex spot, a defense, a kicker, 10 bench spots. Below, across the bottom, is the ADP from the last week from these drafts. And to me, it passes the sniff test of what a sharp league should look like, right? You have Brian Thomas in the first round, Devon Achane as a 1-2 turn pick, Ashton Genty squarely in the first round. You have CeeDee Lamb going 104, Jahmyr Gibbs 103. It's just, to me, a very solid set of ADP. Now, you might say, well, full PPR, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex isn't super close to how I'm drafting. But when I polled you guys, most of you use full PPR, and the majority of people are in a league where you can start maximum 4 wide receivers. To me, there's not a huge difference between 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, and 3 wide receiver, 1 flex. So this is also third round reversal. To me, we're using ADP. It does not matter, right? ADP is just going to be a list of the players. A third round reversal isn't going to affect anything. Then we take the ADP from here, and we are going to leverage it against the default rankings across all of these sites. Look how crazy this is. When you see ESPN's default rankings, what's crazy, and the reason why I point this out, is because they have the default rankings on the far left. On the far right, you have to scroll over to get the ADP. I promise nobody in your home league is going to sort by ADP. They're going to just draft off of the default rankings already provided. Again, we are not using ADP. We are using the rankings in these lobbies. So I literally had to join a mock draft, screenshot everything, put it all into a spreadsheet. Same deal with Yahoo like I showed earlier, where we're talking about the expert rankings here. And then we went across over to Sleeper, which is a little bit easier. Sleeper is a little bit closer to their ADP. And what that brings us is this beautiful master sheet with a lot to get into here, where in the first column you have the pick number. That is your consensus pick. So this is the 4th round, the consensus 4th round. The consensus is the average of the ESPN ranking, the Sleeper ranking, and the Yahoo ranking, all put into consensus. Then I sorted consensus, and I give you a pick number, so you could sort of conceptualize, okay, George Kittle's going at 36.3. Where does that put him in terms of round? He's going on average as the 401 across ESPN, Sleeper, and Yahoo. Now, those are the 3 most popular platforms. I didn't do CBS for this video, but you could do something similar, and I assume that their default rankings aren't super far off. Then we get to the NFC ADP. That is the high-stakes ADP. Again, the $350 drafts in terms of who they are drafting where. And then it's pretty self-explanatory across the rest. You have the value, where you are taking the difference between consensus and the high-stakes ADP. ESPN, same thing. ESPN rankings versus high-stakes ADP. Sleeper rankings versus high-stakes ADP, so on and so forth. Now, the question of the day that I've been getting all summer long is, are you going to put this on the Patreon? Are you putting this behind a paywall? Whatever. And I thought about it for a while, but I don't know who is out there giving out more free game on YouTube in the fantasy football world. It's August. You guys know what it is. This is going to be absolutely free. All I ask is, once again, this is the most viewed video on our channel from last year, is that if you find this data helpful, to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Blow this video up. We hit 10,000 likes on the last one. Blow this all the way up. This Google Sheet will be in the linked top comment down below. Like, you're going to go to the comment section, and the first one will be pinned by me, and the link to get access to this sheet will be there. I'll also ask, just a little bit of a slight plug that if you do find this data helpful and you use it for your league, make sure you check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart, so you can use my rankings in conjunction with these draft values. And then also check out Underdog as well. Use promo code Ron. I'll have all those links in the description and the comment section down below. Now let's get into the best value pick in every single round. This is going to be a little bit of a combo of the best value and then also players I like on top of that, right? So players I like and then are also getting slept on in your home league. And first up, let's go to the first round here. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going as the 105 by consensus. I will say we're not going to go knees deep into every single player here. This is just more so talking through value and then kind of the cliff notes of why I like each player. Now, in the first round, you're not going to get any screaming values. To me, Gibbs stuck out. He is my 102, my RB1. He is the high stakes 103, but in your home league, you can get him in the 105 spot on ESPN, the 106 spot on Sleeper. If I could get my 102 and RB1 at the 105 or 106, I'd be stoked. Now, the reason I like Jahmyr Gibbs a ton, we talked about in the Legendary Upside video, but to me, he is the number one legendary running back upside candidate. He led all running backs last year with a 10% explosive run rate. He's heading into year 3. I think that means that his role is still growing. We still haven't seen what a prime Jahmyr Gibbs looks like. He hit 21.4 points per game last year, and that was with David Montgomery only missing 3 games. They have the 6th best offensive line by established the run. They're projected for the 3rd highest scoring offense by Vegas. And I think that he's yet to hit his true pass catching ceiling. Back in college, he had more career receptions than both Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, 2 of the most prolific stud prospects that also had huge pass catching upside. I think that we could see Jahmyr Gibbs with a new offensive coordinator heading into year 3 where his role could grow. I think could really push for like 70 plus, maybe even 80 receptions here this season and just be the guy you needed to have who hits 25 points per game for the first time since I think like McCaffrey. It'd be the first time since Alvin Kamara in 2020. I really do think he is that level of player. And if you can get him at the 105 or 106 in your home league, you absolutely should. Now, moving on to our biggest value in the second round, we have Brian Thomas. Now, again, the first 2 rounds, you're not going to get a ton of value. Brian Thomas, he's a round 1 pick in these high stakes leagues. You can get him in the early second of your home league. And in more running back hungry home leagues, you can probably get him at the 202, 203, 204. He's consensus 202, but it wouldn't shock me if he fell all the way to the 205 in a running back hungry league. Now, the reason we like him so much is because rookie year production for wide receivers is everything. Brian Thomas Jr. has the 9th most points per game in a rookie season since Randy Moss in 1998, and he is between Michael Thomas and Mike Evans. That is pretty dang good company here. You also get a healthy Trevor Lawrence. Remember, this was a 16.7 point per game season with 7 games of Mac Jones. We also have a really cool stat here from Jacob Gibbs, or actually from at Smola DS, where Brian Thomas Jr. had 2.45 yards per out run last year. All other Jaguars wide receivers had 1.06. He was far and above their best player and kind of made lemons out of, I don't even really know, like he made lemonade out of like 2 stones is kind of how I would put it. I don't know if that's going to make sense, but he was an absolute monster. And then I want to give an honorable mention in the second round. I didn't want to put him here because he's not technically a value, but you have to remember tight ends go earlier in your home league than anywhere else. So the only tight end value we'll talk about later is Tyler Warren at the 1109. Brock Bowers at the 208 is actually the second best value at tight end, despite being a negative value on ESPN Sleeper and by consensus. But what I'll say here is that if all of these tight ends are bad values, right? Tyler Warren's the only one in the positive. If Bowers is the second best value among tight ends, I think he's a smash pick at the 208 in your home league. We like him for similar reasons to Brian Thomas Jr. Monster rookie season, where if you go a little bit lower from that previous screenshot, Brock Bowers shows up there with one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. He had AOC, he had Gardner Minshew, now he gets Geno Smith, who had the 7th fastest offense last year and was top 5 in no huddle rate over his last 3 seasons. Chip Kelly's in the mix, so I think we're going to see a high volume, up-tempo, much better passing efficiency offense where Bowers could just be the true number 1 on this team and absolutely crush. Now let's get to the third round here, where Chase Brown is the consensus 305 despite going in the late second of high stakes leagues. And he's the perfect running back to mention here because I got a ton of questions on the legendary running back video of what about Chase Brown? Well, he just missed the cut. I like Bucky Irving more than Chase Brown, but Chase Brown is right in the mix there with, to me, as like the 6th or 7th or 8th best legendary running back upside candidate. He hit pretty much everything here. The biggest issue I have with Chase Brown is the offensive line. The Bengals have the 31st ranked offensive line, and that scares the hell out of me. I'll just be honest. Also, he's a day 3 pick, which so is Bucky Irving, and it's part of the reason why Bucky Irving scares me a little bit, but we've seen a lot of these guys between like Elijah Mitchell and Alfred Morris and Jordan Howard, where a lot of these guys don't stick around for a while in the NFL, but I could see Chase Brown kind of bucking that trend. He is the RB1 on this Bengals offense, which should be really good, and then on top of that, he is going to challenge for 5+ targets per game, even with Samaje Perine in the same backfield. And if you can get him in the 3rd round of your home league, I think that is an absolute steal. I'd be willing to take him in the late 2nd. So 305 to me is a great value. He's going all the way 12 picks past his high stakes ADP over on ESPN. Now let's get to the 4th round here with Breece Hall and Amarian Hampton. If you guys are keeping track at home, we're 4 rounds through here. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then 2 running backs. Chase Brown running back, 2 running backs here. We talked about this in a lot of videos this year, but running backs are as cheap as ever right now. And for as much as a guy like me who likes receivers, stacking receivers through the flex spot, I think running back is a great position to target in your first 5 to 6 rounds. A lot of these guys, even in your home league where it's more running back hungry, they are really sleeping, where even on ESPN's default rankings, the RB13 is going as the 312 right now, and you're seeing that kind of avalanche to the rest of the position where Breece Hall is the consensus 403 despite going in the late to mid-3rd in high stakes. You are getting a 10-pick discount for him over on ESPN, and I'm a huge fan of Breece Hall. Of course, jersey in the background, you can call me a homer, whatever. But since entering the league, he is the RB10 in points per game at 16 points per game. He's another year removed from the ACL tear. This Jets offensive line got another upgrade in Armand Membu this offseason. You have Fashanu in his 2nd year on the left tackle side. Justin Fields should give a lot of rushing efficiency to this offense, where now somebody in the box has to account for him with zone reads. You're going to get some checkdowns to Breece Hall. You're also going to get Garrett Wilson top of the pecking order, and then it's probably Breece Hall to be the favorite for the 2nd most targets on this team. So we could see Breece Hall be explosive again, catch passes, be the goal line back, even still with Braylon Allen taking 30 to 40% of the rush attempts. Then we'll also talk about Amarian Hampton here. It does suck that Rashawn Slater is out for the year. They're starting left tackle. They're going to move Joe Alt over there, and it's still going to be pretty brutal for them, but I still think Amarian Hampton is a more than fine 4th round pick. In my rankings update, I think I put Hampton as like a late 3rd. So if you can get him at the 406 in your home league, I think that is still a smash. This is a 1st round running back prospect, 220 plus pounds, 4.4 speed, 1,500 plus rushing yards, 15 plus touchdowns, and 30 plus receptions in each of his last 2 years at UNC. And then Najee Harris, it's like a meme at this point. He's still dealing with the eye stuff. So it sucks that the offensive line gets a big downgrade, but you're still attached to Justin Herbert in a run-first offense. So for me, Amarian Hampton is a great pick. Then we're going to get to the 5th round here and talk through Xavier Worthy. I already poured my heart out for Xavier Worthy in our breakout wide receivers video, but he's going in the early 4th round of high-stakes leagues, but he's the 504 by consensus, where you're getting 15 picks of value on Sleeper, 12 picks of value on Yahoo, and just a very comfy 5th round pick to me. Very simply, year 2 breakout candidate attached to Patrick Mahomes here, and he had a really strong stretch down at the back half of the season, where if we look at his last 209 routes over his last 7 games, he hit 24.4% targets per out run, right in line with Brian Thomas's full season. 2.28 yards per out run. That's a really strong number. 11.5% first downs per out run, 84.3 PFF grade, and he had a 21.6 point per game stretch over that time. To me, that flashes what his true upside could be. He's going to have a little bit of a runway here without Rashee Rice, most likely through the first 4 to 6 weeks, maybe more than that. And to me, he is just a great upside swing in the 5th round. Then we get to the 6th round here, and we're going to talk about 2 rookies. Now, you're going to notice that this entire list is rookie heavy, and just how it is. When we look at the last 38 players over the last 2 years to be on 15% or more of ESPN championship rosters, 23.7% of them are rookies. That's about a quarter of like the league winners over the last 2 years have been rookies. So I think it makes a lot of sense to target rookies, especially when you're getting them at a discount like we're getting with Trevion Henderson and Tetairoa McMillan. Trevion Henderson is the consensus 605. You are getting him about a round cheaper than he goes in high stakes over on the NFC. And in my personal rankings, I have him as like the 48th ranked player. I want Trevion Henderson. I like what he gives you in terms of this Jahmyr Gibbs style explosive pass catcher. He could be second or third on this team in targets in terms of the Patriots pass catchers. It's Stephon Diggs. I guess it's Hunter Henry, maybe Pop Douglas, maybe Kyle Williams, but it's really not a great receiver room. But I do want to bet on this offense with Drake May. And this is a really explosive back where he has a 4.4 time in terms of his 40, 7.1 yards per carry last year is pretty nuts. And he's one of 3 running backs in this class with a career 10% or better breakaway run rate in terms of the rookie running backs from this 2025 class. And then you guys know from the breakout wide receivers video, I love Tetairoa McMillan. He is the high stakes 48.1. So he's a 4-5 turn there, but you can get him in the 6th round of your home league at just crazy value across the board. Pick 72 on Yahoo is absolutely nuts. Top 10 pick, 6'4", number 1 wide receiver, can play inside and out. And this Panthers offense, to me, with Dave Canales and Bryce Young as a breakout candidate, could be really, really fun. And it wouldn't shock me if Tetairoa McMillan was one of these rookie difference makers as soon as like week 1 or week 2. Then we have the 7th round. And I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't been drafting a lot of Stephon Diggs, but he's the consensus 7-12, so he's a 7-8 turn pick. And the issue for me is that on Underdog and in these high stakes drafts, right, where he's a 72.3, I think that's the 6-7 turn, it's just too expensive. There's guys there I'd rather have, but at the 7-8 turn, I think he's probably more than fine. I want to say that he's probably buried on these sites, right? When you look at Sleeper, you're getting 16.7 picks of value on both Sleeper and Yahoo. He's probably buried just because of the ACL tear, and he's a veteran. And that's why I'm not really drafting him. But at these prices, I think he's probably fine. As of right now, it seems like he's going to play week 1. I want to bet on Drake May in this passing offense. And the quotes coming out from camp here from Jared Smola, it's hard not to get excited about how good wide receiver Stephon Diggs looks in practice. Diggs is a cut above at the receiver position due to his separation quickness, efficient movements, and ability to win at the catch point with magnet hands. He's consistently winning on second-level targets and in the red zone. He's going to catch a lot of passes. He is the wide receiver 43 in ADP. He's probably like a fine flex that you can sort of draft here, like the 7-8 turn. Maybe people are scared off by the ACL. It seems like in terms of these offseason injury recovery timelines that he is one of the most ahead of schedule of the bunch. Last year, he was top 10 in first downs per out run, and he was the wide receiver 15 in points per game before the injury. So he's probably a fine 7-8 turn pick here in your home league. And then we get to the 8th round, and this is where we want to start. What the hell is going on? This is where we want to start drafting and hammering the hell out of wide receivers. And part of the reason why you might want to check out patreon.com/Ron Stewart. I have my ranking set up in a way where we are targeting running backs early, shooting for legendary upside. And then once you get to this round 7, 8, 9, 10 area, we are hammering wide receivers because that is where the value's at in your home league drafts. And it's also where wide receivers project to outscore running backs by a lot. So you can find that patreon.com/Ron Stewart on my top 200. They're tiered. I have my targets, my fades for every single player. There's a checklist as well, so you can check off the players as you go, along with my in-season stuff like weekly rankings, rest of season rankings, waiver wire article. All of that is over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. You can find that in the description and the comment section down below. But for the 8th round here, I mean, these values are nuts, right? We'll talk about Deebo Samuel first, who's another guy like Stephon Diggs, who I don't love per se, but his high-stakes ADP is what, the early 6th with 74.3, and you can get him at the 8-10 in your home league. 23.7 picks of value on ESPN, 32.7 picks of value on Yahoo. I get that people think that he's washed, and maybe he is, but he's age 29. He was in the same draft class as A.J. Brown, as DK Metcalf, and all of those guys that are still thriving from that class. He also was 3rd in yak per reception last year. He's now going to be attached to Jaden Daniels. I think maybe some of the pneumonia and like fat Deebo stuff is overblown. 8th round Deebo Samuel to me is someone you can start in your flex right away and be good to go. And you also have the Terry McLaurin uncertainty. I think he most likely signs back with Washington, but if he doesn't, all of a sudden Deebo finds himself as the wide receiver 1, and you got him in the 8th round. So I think that he's a really good pick. And then we'll also talk about Ricky Pearsall. He just missed the cut for my breakout wide receivers video, but he is somebody I'm really coming around on as a year 2 breakout. You can kind of throw everything away he did in year 1 because he literally got shot. But you have Ayuk off the ACL. You have Jawan Jennings, who's banged up. And then George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey haven't always had like the cleanest bill of health either. So like, why not Ricky Pearsall, who last year crushed reception perception, 83rd percentile versus zone, 76th percentile versus press. He had like a couple game stretch where he looked really good as well. He's in a good offense. And then also the biggest thing here is the value. He's going at the 8-12 in your home league, but he's going at pick 67 in high stakes, giving you 30.1 picks of value in your home league draft, which is ridiculous. Moving on to the 9th round here, we have Josh Downs and Jordan Mason. Josh Downs is the value across all 3 sites. 21 picks of value on ESPN, 13 on Sleeper, 13 on Yahoo, going in the 9th round of your home league draft. And this is just somebody I want. It's kind of a good thing that Anthony Richardson, maybe not, I don't want to frame it in a bad way, but Richardson getting banged up is undoubtedly good for Josh Downs. He was the wide receiver 28 in points per game last year, despite having Anthony Richardson for a bunch of those games. He was 11th in PFF grade, 4th in targets per out run, 12th in first downs per out run, 18th in yards per out run. He is just a really good player. And now, well, I meant to show this while I was listing that, but he's just a really good player. He looked solid last year, and I just want to bet on him heading into year 3 as a breakout candidate. And then we can put Jordan Mason here. I'm not really drafting him, but he's similar to Diggs, or really Jordan Mason to me. I've been fading him all offseason, but I've been fading him at like pick 85 on Underdog or pick 90 in high stakes. But in your home league draft, like on ESPN, he's going at pick 120. He's going in the 10th round on Sleeper as well. That's where, to me, it's more than fine. Maybe Aaron Jones breaks down. Maybe Aaron Jones doesn't got it anymore. This is a good offense. This is a good offensive line. Jordan Mason had a stretch last year where he looked really good. Maybe he does realize this goal line role they keep talking up. So to me, if you need running back help, and let's say you're kind of panicking, maybe you did a hero RB build and you got greedy at wide receiver, I think you can do worse than 9th round Jordan Mason. And then we'll talk about 10th round Emeka Egbuka. And I cannot stress enough. Circle, highlight, red ringing bells, warning, warning. Like, to me, this is clear as day this year's Brian Thomas Jr. opportunity. This is somebody in high stakes who's going at pick 66.5. That is a 6th round pick in your home league. His consensus rank is 10th round. You are getting 45 picks of value on ESPN, 39 on Sleeper, 56.5 on Yahoo. That is over 3 rounds of value across the board. Now, I wouldn't get greedy, right? I have this as 10th round. I'd probably want to draft him as early as like the 7th or 8th round. Don't get greedy, but to me, he is somebody that is a huge value. Maybe he falls to you in the 8th or 9th and you just take him there. He is, to me, again, this year's Brian Thomas Jr. Chris Godwin still dealing with that dislocated ankle. You're dealing with a high-scoring offense. And Emeka Egbuka was somebody that I really loved during the draft season, like NFL draft season, where my prospect model had him as the wide receiver 2 in this class after Hunter, but ahead of Tedderell McMillan, ahead of Matthew Golden, ahead of Luther Burden. He is a really, really strong prospect where we have already seen him produce next to Marvin Harrison Jr. We've seen him produce next to Jeremiah Smith. He is a really, really strong wide receiver prospect, and I think that he can produce next to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who are getting up there in age, could break down themselves. And Emeka Egbuka is a really fun profile where he can play in the slot, he can play outside, and to me, I think he can be one of these guys, if not Brian Thomas Jr., then somebody you can really lean on down the stretch of the season when you look at these rookie wide receivers who put up 16-plus points per game from weeks 9 on, right? You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tank Dell, Juju Smith-Schuster did it, A.J. Brown, of course, Brian Thomas last year, but more of like the unsung heroes would have been like Jalen Waddle, Ladd McConkey, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice. I think that Emeka Egbuka could be that type of breakout candidate this season. And then we'll do some cleanup crew in the 11th round here. We have a list of a bunch of sleepers that I like. We have Jaden Higgins. That is potentially CJ Stroud's number 2 wide receiver. They drafted inside of the top 40 picks of the NFL draft. I think that's a great upside swing in the 11th round. Then you have Tyler Warren, who we talked about with Bowers, but he is literally the only green value tight end out there, right? So he's just by far the best value tight end. Not on Sleeper, but on Yahoo and ESPN, he's pretty much free. He has rookie tight end upside. Maybe they get him involved in the running game has been kind of some of the reports out there. preseason game just happened last night where he played like the entire first drive. So he's very much locked in as a good upside swing to pair with a Zach Ertz or a Hunter Henry if you fall behind at tight end. You have Dylan Sampson. I don't think these sites are fully caught up on the Quinshon Judkins stuff, where if Judkins doesn't play or he gets suspended, Dylan Sampson's a really fun upside swing on the Browns. You have Ray Davis, where just a good player on a good offense. You're getting him, in the 12th round with like 2 rounds of ADP value there, where he's just on the Bills. James Cook is still holding out about this contract, so I think Ray Davis is a good shout. I'll also talk about Jaden Blue here, where he's my number 1 ranked Dallas Cowboys running back. These default rankings have Javonte ahead of him. I would rather have Jaden Blue. Give me the rookie upside, pass catching back, explosive. And then we can also talk about Luther Burden, who you guys know I love. If Emeka Egbuka isn't this year's Rashee Rice, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ladd McConkey, I think it is Luther Burden in this offense with Caleb Williams. He was a really, really fun wide receiver prospect. I don't know how he emerges, right? Odunze's there, DJ Moore's there, Loveland's there, but I could see things breaking right for him where you keep him on your bench, you stash him, and then he's startable from like weeks 10 on and could even win leagues in that case. Now, before I sign off with this video, let me show you one last thing. All right, now the fact of the matter, and why I was kind of hesitant to make this video for a little bit, but I just figured let's just get it out for you guys, is that the spreadsheet is going to get outdated after a few weeks, right? Somebody might get hurt, players might emerge in the preseason, these sites eventually update these default rankings, and the spreadsheet will be outdated in like 2 weeks. So it's not ready just yet, but I am working with a fan of the channel on a website that is going to scrape the default rankings from these sites and provide it to you guys. So you can see it's like pretty much the same thing we just looked at, where you could see the ranking, the value from NFC high stakes with Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo. This one also includes CBS Sports, and it should be all ready to go in, I'd say sometime next week. So probably in a few days after I post this video. So be on the lookout. I will put the link to this in the comment section when it is ready to go. So I just want to let you guys know that if you're watching this like August 25th, the spreadsheet's going to be outdated, but this website should be live also in the comment section. And again, all I ask is that if you enjoyed this video, if it helps you out a ton in terms of finding the best values in your league, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart, of course, and then also check out Underdog. But if you can't support there, as always, just leave a like, subscribe. Let's blow this video up to 10,000 plus likes again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like